Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sketch Club. I'm Jason Meyer, and tonight we're going to work again on the eye, but we're going to approach it a little bit different. Sunday we went just studying around, looking at what we could do with it. Tonight I want to think about the movement. Okay, and so sometimes when I'm studying, I don't know where sometimes something's produced. At other times it can look like some scribbles with not much on there. But I want to try to share this process with you guys. So a couple of preliminaries first, I guess. I'm going to work in pen tonight. Just it's a little quicker for what we want to do. So as far as in and out of the object, there's no movement. No movement here. So how can we keep this open? Well, there's a shorthand where we can get the same idea with just a couple parentheses. Okay, and it so happens that if we draw a parentheses like this, then our movement's going to be through there. Right? Because do we move through open spaces or closed spaces? You move through the doors, through the open spaces. So you can consider wall closed, there's a hallway. Then how could we get even a little bit more clever with that? Well, what if they were wanting them to come in here? What if I offset this parentheses a little bit? And repeated one side, and repeated one side until I went back to the other side. Went back to the other side. Went back to the other side. Can you see how you want to go? We're moving you around. So with nothing more than line, we can think about movement. So in our eye here and in my compositions, I study these things not just to see the light-dark pattern, the color patterns, but also the major movements of the painting and the minor movements of the painting. So I thought tonight might be fun, or I'd share with you how I look at these minor movements and how I find them. How I find them. So, good evening, Miss Shakti. Glad to have you guys here. So we're going to play with some movement. I'm using pen tonight just because it's a little quicker for these ideas. And I want to introduce to you guys the different things we do sometimes are different pacing. So you'll notice my marks are a lot quicker. As I work in charcoal, I have to slow down. And as I work in oil, things slow down even more. So sometimes it's about pace. But what's the basics of this eye? Well, basics of the eye is that top one. I'm going to go out those eyelids, and then we're going to tuck back in, curve around, Getting lost here. And then, so you see this is kind of can be a radial here. Even that eyebrow. Even those eyebrows. Right, the direction of the hair of those eyebrows can add or subtract movement. Right, so it's one thing to display form, but it's something else. It's something else to create movement and life. So the arts don't start when you know how. I mean, don't stop when you know how to do the form. That's simply the doorway. That's just the price of admission to get past the doorman. Then we want to think about how can we make these things move and dance. Right? Can those eyelashes even tell a story of more to less, wrapping from way around there to coming forward and high before it begins to drop back down. Okay, can everybody feel the movement there? Feel the movement. And then we've got the eye. We got the dark of the eye. All right. Let that show our form. Make it longer. Is that more movement? Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. All right, is that making sense? I know I've shown some of these things out of context, but now we're bringing them all together. Bringing them all together. Let's see. And whenever I'm working with anything, I like having darker material and lighter material. So this is just a grayer pen. I'll use that. See if I can isolate the highlight here, so that we have a bona fide highlight there. Leave a little room for some transparency. And then all this is around in shadow. The white of the eye. Okay. We've got a little movement. We let it have a little movement, I hope. What else we got here? What else do we got? Well, we've got this piece coming out here, and that's gonna wrap around and down. We have another highlight, and as it moves to the front, it's lit up. Then as we move around the side, we're gonna fall back into shadow. around. So lit up, but then as we come around here, take off like that. Okay. So what do we have? What do we have? Well, we've got no movement and we have movement. Right? So if we lock things up, that's not going to give us movement. Or if we have straight lines, that doesn't really come from movement. Right? Diagonals can be movement, and curves can be movement. Open edges create movement. Right? More to less, less to more creates movement. Let's see. This is kind of the deepest part. There's a hard edge, and I want to show this wrapping around. Wrapping around. And actually is going to fall down. But we're just doing light dark patterns, but we need a little bit of some mastery of those light dark patterns. You guys be okay if we get a little mastery out of this, aren't you? Right, the mastery is it's not only for a select few. You know, if you want to work for it, you can get it too, but we've kind of left it to the dustbin of talent and went walking away. Forget talent, man. Just work. Work, apply yourself, see what we can learn. See what we can learn. So now I'm trying to create movement too by doing more to less, like darker to not quite so dark. And back to dark again. Okay, so that unevenness is what creates the movement. And then smaller, but again, less to more. Less to more. Right? And then if I want you to focus in here, I don't want to make dark marks around there, but make your dark marks, your hard edges, your flat. Shapes where you want them to focus. Right? And that should be towards the inside. In my way of thinking, or one way of thinking, not mine, is we should focus on the internal, on the heart of the matter. Don't be real surface about it. Let's go right to the heart of the matter. And if you can dig that, then this method from the inside out might be for you. Right, so seeing in mass, working in mass, versus working in line is just like working in a different language. Like maybe line's Italian and mass is, what would mass be? A different language. A different language, and that's going to come across here. So we study the human form, right? Figure drawing and everything. It's just not to put nude people up on the model stand. It's to learn the subtleties of all these forms and how we can control them. How you can control them, because if you can draw and paint and control the forms of the human body, you're going to be able to draw and paint anything. Or handle the form of anything anyway. Okay, and then what happens up here? So this is, turns around. Something like that. All right, so we're wishing and swirling around here. And when we think of where we might want to go, where I might want to go, since this is going to be a main part of the focus of the painting, I kind of like these ideas. It's almost like little eddies. Like in a river, if you're flowing down the river, then what's an eddy? Well, if you've got a bank or a log or something here, or it can come back and kind of swirl up on itself, like a little eddy. Well, this is going to be kind of an eddy of our painting. So look, we can come out and around like this, up and over there. Let's go up and over, down and around, right? And what's this going to do? This is going to put you out on the nose. And the nose, and we've got the cheek down here, going up the nose and down and back around this way. So as you're doing that, fine, but you don't want everything moving. If everything's moving, you know, people like myself of a certain age might get dizzy and not feel comfortable. There needs to be enough stability. The hard edges in the proper places can provide that. Right? And then allow things to be a little bit more open and not so tight in other areas. Okay, and all of this is turning around, and this too is turning around. Going to run up and over this way. Okay, let's see. Some of this is definitely on that side plane, not on the front plane there. That'll help close that in. This is digging out. Let's see, that's closing down. There's a little bit of light coming through there. Then we're closing down again. As we run out on the nose, that'll go down and come back up. All right, let's see here. Let's see, so I am working in pen and ink tonight, just something a little bit different. Today's been a little bit all off for me. I think I've heard that from a few people. So maybe it's just not me. But anyway, I want to expand your vocabulary. Again, this is working a little bit more with line, but we're studying the movement, right? Deciding where we want more, where we want less, not having everything equal. You're going to be able to let go of some things. So this is just a little water. All right, soften up a little bit of this. Okay, so where are we at? We've got a few minutes, so I'm going to stop here again. So if you're watching and you want to know more about this, you came in a little late, we're talking about movement. And it's actually something very simple that anybody can play with. I mean, if you've got almost any hand control at all, you can start. So let's run over this again. If we close things up, no matter what they are, it has a way of kind of locking up. So instead of closing, and even if it was just a little open space, then we've got a way to come in and out of there. But if it's closed, there's no way, and if we're in here, there's no way to get out. You feel trapped. And by shorthanding this, we have a way to talk about the direction we want the movement to be in. Okay, and then we talked about how these don't have to be parallel, but we can offset them. And that's going to create kind of a channel. Okay, so we've got open things up. And we can offset. What? So parentheses, we can control the movement, direction of the movement. And then if we offset those parentheses, we can create movements. One last thing we want to talk about that we used up here is the idea of going from a point dynamic can we make that? And then if we shaded that, right? So how could get this more dynamic? So what all we did there is we took our little triangle and moved out from a point. But instead of doing straights, we curved them. You see the activity that creates? And so that's what's happening here. Look, we're going boom. We're going boom. And then we've got to turn back around. We've got to turn back around. Right? This doesn't just go up and end. It goes up and turns around. Right? Show us. We're done. We're stopping. We're stopping. We're stopping. We got through. Woo! We got through. Woo! We got through. Woo! All right? We more or less as we get towards the light, less as we get towards the light, and we move off the light, we get more, we get more, we get more, we get more. So that more to less in the right way. Right here, this is someplace too where we could use that concept. You see how much dimension that brings? All right. Excuse me, losing my voice today. Allergies are high. So, Randy Pound made it. Good for you, buddy. Good to see you. Susan, a little wet, but I enjoy watching. Good, good, good. So, Susan, you and I had a couple of conversations about this movement. So, in the last couple of minutes, I want to show you guys how to doodle. Doodle your way into movement. Let's doodle our way into movement. So I've got a gray pen. Got a little darker, heavier gray. Black. Darker, heavier black. And then even darker. And a wash. So let's start with our dark. And let's come down here. And let's see how dynamic we can make this. Okay, so I just did my curves, and now I'm going to think about this as a big opening. And then look, I'm going to follow this around. Follow it 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 around. And then let's go heavier on the shadow sides. All right, show how that shadow work it under there. And start to give this a little bit of an edge if we want. Maybe more pinches than anything. But don't stop there. What's coming out of here? Go around, go around. You see what a fun little game of doodles you can play. And you're going to be working yourself into doing those movements. All right, I know we're a couple of minutes over, so let's just relatively quickly. So again, sometimes different mediums are a different speed and a good break. All right, if you've been in oil for a long time, man, it can be labor intensive and a little heavy. But you know, you want to learn to play and be a little lighter. Be a little lighter. And then up out of here. What comes out of there? What comes out of there? Huh? What's coming out of there? Everything's raining down. Is this liquid? Is this good news? Is the good news pouring in? Look at all this good news coming. Going away. Right? But as you're doing this, you're trying to think in 3-dimension. Right? What makes this shape look like this? Anywho, I like it when we get to woohoo. All right, maybe that's what this is a woohoo. So, we were talking about movement tonight, and we were talking about movement in the eye. In the study. And so let's work towards a little bit more openness in our work, right? And not only openness, but less to more. Less to more. All right, guys. So I'll look forward to seeing you guys in the morning for our demo. Let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got here. Turn that off. Get that out of here. This morning we worked on the moonscape, so we got day 2. There's day 3 of that coming up. And then tomorrow we've got the still life from from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on YouTube. Tomorrow night there'll also be Sketch Club, same time, same place, 7 o'clock, right here on Facebook. Excuse my voice, it's going out a little bit. So I hope you guys could pick up some of those things and play, because it's always a matter of playing. One more reminder, we've got the online course of the Wonders of Oil Painting coming up. Oh, she's talking about the charcoal forms. That's well, there's all kinds of stuff in the school. Go check it out. All right, till tomorrow morning. Love all you guys. Thanks for popping in, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.